Hey guys, it's Jardier here again on Overtake channel with another awesome tutorial. Do you know this problem? You go into a corner in Assetto Corsa Competizione and just like that, you lost a second. Again, maybe we need to have a talk about the braking. That's why I'm here today, so let's take a look. Many racers have spent hours thinking the right way to braking. So luckily for us, there's a lot of knowledge out there. But for especially Assetto Corsa Competizione, we need to go more in the specifics. Assetto Corsa Competizione is often compared to iRacing. When it comes to braking in a GT3 class, for example, they couldn't be more different. Mostly because of the tire model each game has. While iRacing wants you to brake at around 70 to 80% maximum force before it gets ugly, you can stomp on the brakes completely in Assetto Corsa Competizione and let the ABS do the work for you. The reason that is important because this completely changes the way you can handle the corners. It's really cool to see another perspective on the topic of the braking. The reason I think Assetto Corsa Competizione works so well on the braking and the trail braking is because of how the game behaves. This gives you a lot of room to tweak your style. If you want to tweak your subscription fee, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and make sure to have that notification bell on. After getting to know iRacing a bit, a lot of my Assetto Corsa Competizione setups have been soft lately. I do this to avoid the initial lockup some of the face when going into the corner. A first step in the right direction for me was to soften up the front and the rear suspension compared to what it is in the standard aggressive setup, which you should use as your starting point most of the time. If you want to freshen up your memory on how to tweak setups in Assetto Corsa Competizione, you should watch the previous videos we did together, but right after watching this one. When you make your car softer, you increase the mechanical grip, which lets your car attach to the road smoothly. The upside to that is that you will have an easier time getting into the corner, but your car will bounce around a little bit more. But let's give you an example. For the past several months, I was using mostly the McLaren 720, but I couldn't find my way with the car. I was using literally the maximum stiffness or almost maximum stiffness of the suspension because I thought it's the only way to work with the car. But recently, I was going lower and lower and lower and discovered a completely new car to me. First of all, I went and did complete opposite. From stiffest to the softest suspension settings. An immediate upside was it reduced tire degradation. I used to have a lot of problems with the tires before. I drive a lot of 1 hour, 9-minute races and my tires were usually gone by 20-minute mark. That mainly had to do with my stiff suspension and also how I brake. While the car behaves very similar now, the McLaren preserves tires so much more, up to 40% in some of the races. A small fix in the setup allowed me to have a substantial edge when it comes to braking. Another thing you have to consider is basically brake bias. That basically means a distribution of the force using in the front and in the back. I've played around with this settings quite a bit as well and found that I prefer a lower brake bias as usual. The main reason is that it makes trail braking more enjoyable, especially with the McLaren. That was a big factor. Try something like 52% and see how it feels. But what exactly do I mean with trail braking? Trail braking is a certain technique that can be a game changer for you in Assetto Corsa Competizione. This is how it works. When going into the corner, try braking early as hard as you can. As said at the beginning of the video, Assetto Corsa allows you to be very harsh on braking, so you can just stomp on the brake straight on it. Then releases the brake slowly, bit by bit, as you steer into the corner. You can also support everything with your throttle, similar to what rally drivers do. If you execute it properly, you will have optimal grip on your front tires to get through the corners. This is especially important for cars that are a little snappy. That's why you need to set your brake bias very balanced so the car doesn't go straight when you stomp on the brake before the corner. Also, certainly the ABS is working very well here. So let's go through some settings. Anti-lock braking system is a support setting that prevent lockups if turned up high. However, your brake distance will be higher. Nevertheless, it is essential for anyone trying to improve their braking to know how to set up their ABS. With the McLaren, I usually go for settings number 4. On some tracks like Barcelona that have a long sweeping corners, I have to go for 5. If I wouldn't go so high, I would kill my tires super fast by doing little tiny lockups. But of course, there are racetracks that allows you very straightforward braking. For example, Monza and Calame, where you can really go lower on ABS settings, even to like 1 or 2, because you literally brake in a straight line. A common mistake I see with braking looks like this. People tend to brake too late and hope to carry a lot more speed through the corners. Unfortunately, what ends up happening most of the time is the opposite. When you brake so late, you force the car to turn with a lot of force at the point where it's almost too late. This can create flat spot in your rubber, which can be super important for your pace and the grip later in the race. Usually the mirror boards are good indication where to brake, but during the races they can be destroyed easily, so you have to find some other solution. I personally would tell you to get a hint from the track or the surroundings. If you see a tree or a building, go by every time you enter a corner. Try take that as a point of reference. With a few laps of practice, you will do it from the muscle memory. Braking in Assetto Corsa Competizione is a complicated topic. Not only because there are quite few settings you can play with, but also because it comes down to the racer a lot of time. More unexperienced racers will have more trouble with overshooting corners, and veterans may have a hard time adjusting their old setups. As cheesy as it sounds, it's all about your driving style. If you think the ABS is making you slower, definitely go over it and try it, but be prepared that the trail braking will be way less effective. So you always have to find like a good correct balance. If that's something you can live with, it's fine. Styles do racers as setups do. However, if you are willing to go into unknown, you can find a lot of improvements in your braking technique. It may take some time to adapt, but in the end, you will be happy about it. Thank you so much for watching another tutorial with me. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to check as well Overtake.gg for some news from the sim racing all around the world. My name is Jardier and see you next time.